If you're looking to make your no-code web applications more interactive, you're going to love Noloco's Action Buttons. Hi, I'm Dan Lehman from AutomationHelpers.com, and we're a Noloco implementation partner. You can get started with Noloco for free by using the affiliate link in the description below. I've spun up a sales CRM template. If you want to follow along with me, you can do so by using their template. So let's check out all of the functionality that we can do with these buttons. Right off the bat, I'm just going to click on my screen here. I'm on my opportunities, and I want to be able to configure our buttons, so I can scroll down to this area where we've got buttons and open this up. Now, by default, we've got three what I call default buttons that we can choose from. One we see already out of the box. We've got the ability to add a new opportunity. So this is called a new record button. And here we can override the text. In this case, I don't really like the fact that it has opportunities plural when we're going to be creating a singular record. So here we might want to override this text, and I'm just going to call it new op. And what's really cool is that we can actually inject any of this information dynamically. Now, this is going to use just a default form when we're creating a new record, but we can also create our own specific views if we want to limit which fields are available in that form. So now adding a new opportunity is as easy as clicking on that button, and we can fill out the information and submit that form. Now we can also enable export and import capabilities. Export doesn't really have any configuration options with it, whereas import, we can say what are the fields that we want to be able to import as we're loading in that spreadsheet. Now with the collection buttons, we don't have quite as much functionality. What we can do is we can navigate to some resource, be it a URL or a specific page within our Noloco app. So this might be good if we have some sort of instructions, or we have everybody navigate to a certain dashboard, just to make that easier for accessibility and navigation. But the real fun comes in when we start adding our record buttons. So I'm going to click on our record buttons here, and we can add a record button. Here's where we've got our different actions. Let's go ahead and edit this action. And in this case, you'll notice that we've got several different settings up at the top. So let's look at these. In our button settings, we can change how this appears. First, the color. Now in this use case, because we're looking at a CRM, perhaps we want a really quick way for a sales rep to be able to update their opportunity and notify their sales management. So we'll say that this button is for when they're marking an opportunity as one. And so this is something that I think makes sense to choose success for our color, that nice green color. And we can add an icon. I'm going to search for money. Let's add a nice money bag there. We can add a custom tooltip if we want to, and this uses Markdown, so you can add your own formatting. And this is where we choose whether we need one click or modal. Now, in this particular use case, because we're just updating this opportunity record, we're changing the status value, and we're sending a notification, we don't really need to collect additional information from the user. So I think it makes sense that we're just going to do a one click. But if we need to gather more information, that would be a good use case for the modal. I'll update that button text to close one. Then we can also turn on notifications. In this case, I'm not sure if I necessarily need to be notified that we've completed that action, but if we were doing something else like deleting a record, something that has some real significance, we might want to enable that notification to let people know, hey, this task has been completed. The other thing that we can do is we can add button visibility, and we talk more about this in our other video, but here we've got lots of different options. So we can first of all restrict who has the ability to close this opportunity. So we can limit this by user type. That might be useful from a high level, but we can also add our own custom rules, which actually uses the underlying data of the record to determine whether that button is visible. Let's go ahead and add our action, and we have several different options to choose from. We're going to talk about a couple of these. Here we're going to say that we want to update this particular record, the opportunity that we're clicking on, but we could say if we have an end-to-one relationship, maybe we want to update a parent record. That's possible as well. Now we just need one field to update here. That's the status field. So I'm going to check that on, and I'm going to edit this, and we have the option to have an input field or a hidden value. Now, if it were a different type of field, we might want the user to say, here's the data for this field that we're updating. But again, we want to make this really easy on the end user. We're going to have a hidden value because we can just say, what is this value? We're going to change that status automatically. And we don't need dynamic values here as well. I can toggle that off. Instead, we're just going to say, when we click the closed one button, we want to change that opportunity status to closed one. Now that's really simple, but you can imagine we could have multiple fields that we could update at the same time. Maybe we want to also archive that opportunity as we're changing the status of it at the same time. Now, this is one of the most powerful features of Noloco's action buttons and is awesome compared to its competitors, is being able to chain multiple actions to that same button. So we can go ahead and add a second one. In this case, we can choose again from these options of different actions, and we can say we want to run an on-demand workflow. So maybe not only do we want to update the opportunity, but we also want to send a notification to sales management. So here we can choose that workflow, we press done, and this is good to go. Now, if you're not familiar with Noloco's workflows, there's a ton of additional functionality here. So here we're able to say, let's fire this on demand. We're going to click that button like we talked about before, and then we can use this to send an email. So we can say, who do we send it to? And we automatically pull in values. We say, here's the first name, here's the estimated value of the opportunity, so we can send that off. But there's so many other options that we can do with workflows as well. So if we take a look at these actions, not only can we send that email, but we could send a push notification, we could trigger a webhook, so this opens up tons of options with Zapier and Make, and we can also send messages to Slack without any other third-party integration. Now, maybe our sales reps are super busy closing business and they want to be able to mark multiple opportunities as one. We could also enable bulk actions here, turn that on, and you'll notice this now has our little checkbox here so that someone could check multiple opportunities to click the button a single time. Now, to test this out, let's exit out of build mode, and we can see we've got our closed one button here. Let's find the sunlight renewal. It's currently in evaluation. Yay, it's closed one, so we'll click that button. And you can see that triggers and automatically that changes that status and will fire that email out. Now, we've shown you how you can use record buttons at the collection level by hovering over that record and you can see that button, but you can actually drill into the record itself. And if we go to our action buttons, you can enable that same action button and that's going to display at the top of the record. Now let's add a navigation action and we'll choose that by navigating to, in this case, I'm going to choose a URL. And we're going to choose this from the actual fields here because you can see we already have a field for holding that data about the LinkedIn URL itself. So we can select that. Now we can choose to open this in a new tab. And once we exit out of build mode, we have our button, we can click it, and that's going to open up a new window and take us to that LinkedIn profile. Now, I'm going to show you one last example here because sky's really the limit with what you can do with action buttons. So on my profile, if I go ahead and click here and go into my action buttons, I've added one to book a call. And in this case, we can actually show an iFrame, which we can do lots of different things with an iFrame. I'm going to actually put in my Calendly link here. So I'm choosing a data field, and in my users table, I've created a Calendly field to store that information about every single user's Calendly. So now if I want to book a call with someone on the team, I can just click that button. I don't even have to leave my Noloco application, and automatically that loads this up so I can book a call with someone on the team. I hope this has been helpful to see just how powerful Noloco's action buttons can be. If you have any questions about getting up and running with Noloco, don't hesitate to reach out to our website at automationhelpers.com, where we're offering free 30-minute consultations.